You're listening to the Doctor Is In podcast, brought to you by MartinClinic.com. During the episode, the doctors share a lot of information. As awesome as the info may be, it is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease. It's strictly for informational purposes.
Well, good morning, everyone. I think you'll enjoy our program now. We're going to talk about your immune system. This morning, at least that's the headline. There was a new study out yesterday. Incredible. You guys this will blow you away. I flagged it yesterday and I was just thinking about how crazy this is. And I think you guys will appreciate it. Okay. Now guys, here's the study. As I get going this morning. The study came out. I flagged this yesterday. I don't know if it came out yesterday or it's the first time I saw it was yesterday. Okay, so I get thousands over, even in a month, I probably get hundreds and hundreds of studies that are being done all over the world, and I get them flagged for me. So if there, anything that I'm interested in, I think that's my car going off. And what I do with that is I go and flag these studies, okay? So don't mind me, I think somebody's trying to break into my car. So what are we saying here? Listen to this study, I think you'll find it fascinating. Ingestion of 1 gram of sugar decreased the ability of white blood cells to capture bacteria. 1 gram of sugar ingested decreases the ability of your white blood cells to capture a bacteria. Never mind viruses. Okay, think about that. So it takes 4 grams to make up a teaspoon of sugar, right? And 1 gram of sugar decreases the ability of your white blood cells to capture a bacteria. Now, you can actually, I'm trying to think of where you could find it. Maybe on YouTube. I used to show this to my patients all the time. A white blood cell chasing a parasite or a bacteria. And you can actually watch it. The problem is if you ingest 1 gram of sugar, it stops your white blood cells from going after that bacteria. Isn't that incredible? Think about that. Now, I carry in my office, or at least I keep in my office, I keep a box of cereal. Okay? Because people, Doc, cereal is good for you. And I go, yeah, well, you're not reading the labels. Okay? Now, I don't have a box of cereal I think I might have some oatmeal. And they don't add any sugar, but they got 40 grams of carbs. Carbs are going to be, guys, when you read your labels, just remember this. Carbs are going to be sugar very, very rapidly. Never mind the sugar that's added. But I'm only talking about sugar this morning, okay? So this is for, you can go through our cupboards at home. There's very little sugar. That's me and my wife, okay? She cooks and bakes or whatever, like no sugar added. And, that's our home. And it's funny because our grandchildren know that about us. And not that we never give them a treat, but it's rare. But I want to show you, this is Carnation hot chocolate, okay? A Carnation hot chocolate. In 3/4 of a tablespoons. That's what you do to make with hot water or milk. I don't know which one they want you to do it with. There's 19 grams of sugar. 19 grams. Okay, so think about that. The amount of sugar added. And the point is, what is that doing to the immune system? Everybody's talking about the immune system. Well, maybe not talking about the immune system enough, but certainly about those who are immunocompromised, right? Like, because what happened, okay? Like, just if you wonder what happened, because I always tell, I've been telling you, I'm writing a book, and I was just sort of explaining this in the book. Listen, I tell my grandchildren, Grandpa, we had ice cream and cookies too, We did. We didn't live that long ago where we didn't have ice cream or cookies. The thing is, we live in a different world today, because the world today, it's what they did, and it was all based on a lie. Okay? It was all based on a lie. And that is, fat makes you fat. Don't have butter, have margarine. Right? And don't have bacon and eggs, have cereal. We've lived through the change in the thinking, and it started really in the 50s with a fellow by the name of Ancel Keys, but it doesn't matter. It was full blown in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and cholesterol is dangerous for heart disease. And guys, cholesterol was Houdini. Why do I say that? Because if you go back into medical books in the 1960s or 70s, they didn't even talk about cholesterol. Cholesterol wasn't important. What's cholesterol got to do with heart disease? But they made up a whole industry, and it was all based on a lie, and that is fat makes you fat, and fat gives you cholesterol, and all of the I remember a guy by the name of Dean Ornish. And these people, doctors said, well, you know what? We gotta get away from animal products, like quit eating bacon and quit eating eggs and quit eating cheese and all that, because it's not good for your heart. And I was pulling my hair out. You wonder why I got less hair? I was pulling it out when people like that said that, because it was all based on a lie. So what did they do? In any food, if you take the fat out of food, you have to replace that, because fat generally gives you texture and it gives you taste. Why? Okay, so what's the issue? They replaced it with sugar. Not that we didn't have sugar when I was a kid. In the 1950s, Canadians, one thing that when you study the history of nutrition, okay, it was fascinating to me, because when I was working on my PhD, you had to study that. That was one of the courses, the history of nutrition. And how far back could they go? Couple of centuries. And it was interesting, like the amount of sugar, and one of them was, in 1910, around there, people for baking, what did they use? Lard, butter. They didn't use vegetable oil. It wasn't created yet. Okay? So, then there was an enormous shift in getting rid of fat. So they didn't want you to use saturated fat. They wanted you to use polyunsaturated fats. It was cheap. Crisco. You remember that? Anybody my age? You remember Crisco? Right? That was the 1950s. Maybe late 40s even. The 1950s, they started with that. Like replace fat. But guess what? The biggest thing, yes, vegetable oils, and we've talked about that and how bad they are for you. But guys, the biggest thing, the biggest thing is that they replace the fat with sugar. With sugar. Do you get it? So in the 1950s, when I was a little boy, like, we had ice cream too, guys. We had soda too. But today, because of the food industry and what they do, okay, I'm only giving you one example. Get out your cereal, Frosted Flakes. They're great. No, they're not. They're bad. Like I tell people, you shouldn't have cereal any time in your life. Like, oh, Doc, if I don't have my oatmeal in the morning, you don't need oatmeal in the morning. Have bacon and eggs in the morning. Because every time you have 1 gram of sugar, 1 gram, I mean, that's nothing, guys. How many grams in a soda? Oh, Doc, I gotta have my stomach doesn't feel quite as good if I don't have a little bit of ginger ale or whatever. We live in a different world. The average Canadian, the average North American is consuming 200 pounds of sugar a year. What is that doing to? This is what I am saying. This is what you can control. If this amount of sugar stops your white blood cells from chasing bacteria, it stops it. Guys, what are we doing to ourselves? This is why I was telling you, you're not really hearing about it so much. But with the COVID-19, one of the things that you and I can do for ourselves to make our immune system better. And like I said, even yesterday, somebody after my show or during the show, typed in like, Dr. Martin, you're not taking this seriously. Are you kidding me? My office is closed. I've been in isolation, self-isolation. This is day 12. Day 13. Tomorrow's 14. So I take it seriously. I'm not against you washing your hands and social distancing. Somebody said today, or at least I read it today, that Dr. Fauci, you know who that is? Okay? He is the head, or at least, I think he is the head of the CDC, at least of infectious disease, okay? So you'll see him at the news conferences, Dr. Fauci. He's going to be a famous guy because he's on TV now every day and everybody's trying to interview him. And they said, well, somebody asked him, I guess yesterday, like, how long are we going to have to do social distancing? He said, till there's not one case left of coronavirus. Well, I'm going to tell you something, guys. The world in which we know will never be the same. Will there ever be a sporting event? Will you ever be able to go into a stadium? I was planning on bringing my grandsons, my 3 youngest grandsons. I love those boys because they love baseball like their grandpa, okay? I love baseball. And I was going to bring them to a Blue Jay game. I do it every year. And my 3 youngest grandsons, okay? I've got 7 grandsons. The 3 youngest ones. They're baseball nuts. I love it. Are we ever going to be able to go to a baseball game again? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. All I know is you guys need to take care of your immune system. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but and what can you do? Well, I talked about vitamin D, and I talked about eating more protein, amino acids, and I talked about zinc. Zinc is found in steak. You don't need to take zinc if you eat steak. Look, a lot of vitamins, I tell people, look, I'd rather you eat vitamin S, steak. And then you don't need to take zinc, okay? And I never usually give zinc on its own, never, okay? In the office, I have zinc. I have it in a blood boost. I don't like zinc. There's a lot of things, even vitamin C. I don't like vitamin C on its own. I don't. Now, I'm not talking about coffee. I'm talking about the other vitamin C, okay? I don't like vitamin C on its own. It doesn't stay in your body very long. I'm going to do a teaching on that one of these days, okay? It stays in your body, like when you take it, and orally especially, it only lasts in your body 4 hours unless you put it with another powerful antioxidant. I have vitamin C, but I have it with pine bark extract. It makes it 100 times better, I'm telling you. And actually with the coronavirus, vitamin C is being used in certain hospitals and whatever, very few in North America, but in China, big time with this coronavirus. You know what? But they give it IV. I got no problem with IV vitamin C. But vitamin C on its own, like you can eat 1,000 oranges. And you know what I mean? I'm not that big on that. On its own. All I'm saying, guys, is you guys get it. You guys get it. You're in the little 1% of the population that understands the significance of sugar. Because people only think, well, I got to cut back on my sugar for diabetes, right? I mean, at least they know that. But it's amazing to me how diabetics still drink orange juice. Where there is, what is it, in a glass of orange juice? Something like 40 grams or more of sugar? Like, never drink juice, okay? You can have Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie, but that's made up of cream, a few berries, and a protein. I like bone broth, okay? I love bone broth because of what it does. And actually, tomorrow morning, I think I'm going to show you how to do a liver detox. This is one of the biggest things that I did with the reset, is I can empty out your liver in 4 weeks. Empty it out. You got fatty liver? 4 weeks. Empty. Gets rid of all the gunk so that you can produce more glutathione. Okay? Glutathione. And we're going to talk about that. Okay? We'll do that. I planned on talking about that tomorrow. Unless something else comes up. Okay? But you get it? Think of your immune system. Your white blood cells. Your T cells. Your lymphatics. Your T cells come out of your lymphatic system when you have an infection of any kind. Think of when we talk about treatment of cancer. You want it frustrates me, guys. It frustrates me because when you talk about cancer, one of the things that is the new kid on the block that seems to have some potential in cancer is immunotherapy, right? Immunotherapy. And I got no problem with that. The pharmaceutical companies are looking for drugs that affect the immune system. But guys, food affects your immune system. Not only for COVID-19, but cancer. I tell people, I talked to 2 this week. They have cancer. No, nada, zero sugar. Zero. No, none. Because cancer needs sugar. It needs fuel. Cancer cells need fuel. Nobody talks about that. Cancer cells need fuel. Your white blood cells need fuel to work properly. What good fuel do you give them? The sun. All your little white blood cells have a receptor on the top, a little antenna. It's looking for the sun. Guys, common sense. Yeah, I know. And again, I got some people coming after me during these shows. Like they don't like it when I say, like I'm not taking COVID-19 seriously and this and that. And, I said, well, look, the world out there is going to give you, wash your hands and social distancing and don't touch your face. In Ontario, 5 people in a house. If you got 4 kids, one of my daughters has 4 kids. I guess they got to find out which one isn't the least popular and throw them out. Like they got to 5, and I get it. I understand all that stuff. Okay, don't get me wrong. I understand it. I don't necessarily agree with it. I agree with the hand washing, by the way, and social distancing for a time. Sure, I get it. But guys, who the heck is talking about your immune system? And that if you have a good immune system, even if you get this virus, you're going to do much better than other people. You will recover, or you might not have any symptoms at all. This is why I'm talking to you about 1 gram of sugar, and it stops your white blood cells in their tracks. This is why I talk about that all the time. And Monica is saying some veggies have a lot of sugar. Well, they don't have a lot of sugar, but they have some sugar. And if you have cancer, and I talked to a lady the other day, okay, and God love her, and she's making, celery juice, and I wouldn't do it. Not that there's a lot of sugar there. There isn't, but no sugar. She said, Doc, what can I eat? Eggs, meat, and cheese. Eggs, meat, and cheese. EMC. 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 I know, I'm crazy. I know that. But guys, I look at all that science, and that's my expertise, guys. It's food. Somebody asked me the other day, what do you do? I'm a food doctor. That's what I do. Look, I'm a food guy. Okay, so all I'm saying is, isn't this, guys, yeah, oncologists and Kelly saying this, say, stay away from red meat. Okay, I'm going to get a little excited here. I'm going to get a little excited. Look, guys, and I don't mean any disrespect, okay? But if you ask an oncologist about food, why don't you go to your plumber? You got a plumber across the street? Go ask them about food. They got about the same amount of education in nutrition as an oncologist does. Hate to be negative. So when they say red meat, they don't know what they're talking about. Guys, that was guys like Dean Ornish and vegetarians and Bill Clinton's doctor when he had a heart attack. No more animal food. Guys, they don't know anything about nutrition. You want to get your immune system working at a top level? Then you have nutrient-dense food. Wait till my book comes out, and you'll be able to look at it for yourself. Of course, I preach it every day, but you're going to get it right in front of your eyeballs. The science of what I'm talking about. Red meat. Eskimos don't get heart disease. What do they eat all day? Fish, seal, whale, blubber, meat, fat, not much carbs, okay? I'm planning to have the book out by September, okay? And anyway, you guys are great, okay? So, guys, if you do nothing else, cut the sugar out of your diet. Poison. Sugar is poison. So keep away from it. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
You've reached the end of another Dr. Is In podcast with your hosts, Dr. Martin Jr. and Sr. Be sure to catch our next episode, and thanks for listening.